A top-secret Army intelligence document from 1983 about a training method known as the gateway process makes some startling revelations about techniques developed to enable individuals to travel beyond time and space. It even goes as far as to claim that it's possible, with these techniques, for a person to be able to alter the very fabric of reality itself, to manifest desired circumstances, to heal oneself, and to acquire information remotely with intention. After 20 years of being hidden from the public, this document was declassified in 2003. The front page bears the Department of Defense logo and has an Army intelligence heading at the top. It's dated June 9th of 1983, and the subject reads, Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. It's simply addressed to Commander, U.S. Army Operational Group in Fort Meade. The author of the document is Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonald. There isn't much information out there on him or even any photographs that I could find. What we can infer though from the first few paragraphs is that he seems to have been tasked by his superiors in Army intelligence with determining how the gateway process works and its potential applicability. That the CIA and other intelligence agencies would be interested in something like this is no surprise. They've been actively looking into all sorts of anomalous phenomena and parapsychological subjects for decades. We can gather this from the various programs that have come to light through declassification, such as the Stargate and MK Ultra programs. The paper begins by briefly analyzing 3 states of consciousness-altering techniques before delving into the meat of gateway process. These are hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and biofeedback. I won't get into much detail about these. We could do an entire series of videos on each one. Safe to say this paper gives a brief analysis of each one, and you can read it all in the paper below. As for gateway, the mechanics call for reaching a specific state in which the electrical brain patterns of both hemispheres are matching in amplitude and frequency. Hemisync is the word, or the term that they've given it. What's fascinating is what this document claims the potential is for someone who can achieve the synchronized state. Some of these statements are quite shocking, and you'll see here quickly why the Army and intelligence community would be interested in this and why it remained classified for 20 years. This is a 29-page document and can be quite dense in some areas, so what I've decided to do is to pick out some of the more interesting bits and highlight them. I'll read through them in this video, and I'll add some commentary here and there. I've also posted a link to the full document in the description below. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First, on page 5 under section called Biofeedback, we read, for example, if the subject wishes to increase the circulation in the left leg in order to speed up healing, he may concentrate with his left brain on achieving that result, while carefully monitoring a digital thermometer connected to the left leg. When the concentrated effort begins to achieve success, the digital thermometer will register an increase in the temperature of the left leg. At that point, the subject can mentally associate the sensations experienced with the result achieved and can begin to emphasize by memory recall the same process to cause its strengthening by affirmation and repetition. In this way, pain can be blocked, healing can be enhanced, malignant tumors can apparently be suppressed and ultimately destroyed. The body's pleasure sensors can be stimulated, and a variety of specific physiological results may be achieved. This is pretty amazing if you think about it. They're talking about self-healing and controlling your physiology with your mind. Increasing blood flow and temperature in desired areas of your body is pretty paradigm-shattering and could open the door to a plethora of potential in the field of mind-body medicine. Fundamentally, the gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers. Escaping the restrictions of time and space. Let that sink in for a minute. I personally believe that we live in a holographic simulated construct, and what this would imply is the ability to access dimensions beyond our own. This is quite substantial coming from an Army document. Studies conducted by Elmer and Alice Green at the Menninger Foundation have shown that a subject with 20 years experience, 20 years training in Zen meditation could consistently establish hemisync at will, sustaining it for over 15 minutes. Yoga, Zen, or transcendental meditation, if practiced long enough, will produce a change in the sound frequency with which the human heart resonates throughout the entire body. So for those of you who thought you had to go through some specialized training with a 3-letter agency, or that this technology wasn't accessible to the average person, from this statement here, we can see that nothing could be further from the truth, and with simple, consistent meditation, this brain state can be accessed. Science now knows that both the electrons which spin in the energy field located around the nucleus of an atom, and the nucleus itself, are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids. Solid matter, in the strictest construction of the term, simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds. I think this is self-explanatory, and anyone who is familiar with quantum theory and physics in general should already know that there is no solidity to our world. It's illusory, and it only gives the appearance of our being in a solid reality. Everything is vibrating at various frequencies, and our central nervous system decodes these frequencies into the world we experience. A live human cell vibrates at approximately 10 to the third power hertz. The point to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all, is, like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. To enter these intervening dimensions, human consciousness must focus with such intense coherence that the frequency of the energy pattern which comprises that consciousness, i.e. brainwave output, can accelerate to the point where the resulting frequency pattern, if displayed on an oscilloscope, would look virtually like a solid line. Achievement of this state of altered consciousness sets the stage for perception of non-time-space dimensions because of the operation of a principle in physics known as Planck's distance. I would be curious to know the correlation of the brainwave state referred to here and the traditional brainwave frequencies of beta, alpha, theta, delta, and so on. I know that experienced meditators, I believe they were Buddhist monks who were tested at university laboratories, exhibited gamma brainwaves, which is a frequency of between 25 and 140 hertz. Anyone who can shed some light on this, please leave a comment below. This holds true irrespective of whether the individual is exercising his consciousness while in his physical body, or whether he is doing so after having separated that consciousness from the physical body, i.e. the so-called out-of-body state mentioned earlier. Now obviously this is implying that consciousness is not in the brain but in the field, and only uses the brain as a sort of receiver, transmitter, or decoding apparatus of sort. Out-of-body experience is much more common than people think and has been well documented at this point. There are hundreds of books on astral projection and the out-of-body experience out there. The one listed in the bibliography of this paper is Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. Monroe was the founder of the Monroe Institute, where this hemisync technology was created. Although human consciousness can, with enough practice, move beyond the dimension of time-space and interface with other energy systems in other dimensions, the entire process is appreciably enhanced if that consciousness can be detached in large measure from the physical body before such interface is attempted. Once an individual becomes proficient in the technique of out-of-body movement and then reaches the point where he is able to break out of time-space while out of his body, he gains the advantage of clicking out, part of his enhanced consciousness, while starting from a base located much closer to the dimension with which he wishes to communicate. This is interesting and almost seems to imply that our physical body itself, or at least the illusion of it, may be what confines us within the limits of time and space, and by moving our consciousness away from the physical body in an altered state, enables us to access these other dimensions beyond time and space. Moreover, once the individual is able to project his consciousness beyond time-space, that consciousness would logically tend to entrain its frequency output with the new energy environment to which it is exposed, therein greatly enhancing the extent to which the individual's altered consciousness may be further modified to achieve a much heightened point of focus and a much refined oscillating pattern. The tentative conclusion to be drawn is that the out-of-body state may be regarded as an extremely effective way of accelerating the process of enhancing consciousness and of interfacing with dimensions beyond time-space. Let's just take a second to pause here and remember that we are reading an Army intelligence document that was classified for 20 years. And this is only one document of thousands that get into stuff like this. It goes to show what type of research goes on behind closed doors and how little we know of what our true potential is as human beings. By reflecting on this model, it becomes possible to see how human consciousness brought to a sufficiently altered, focused state could obtain information concerning the past, the present, and future, since they all exist in the universal hologram simultaneously. In the case of the future, because all of the consequences of the past and present can be seen coming together in the hologram, such that the future can be predicted or seen with total accuracy. They're not saying, it can be guessed at, or there's a margin of error. They're saying specifically here, total accuracy. We noted earlier that the out-of-body state involves projection of a major portion of the energy pattern that represents human consciousness, so that it may move either freely throughout the terrestrial sphere for purposes of information acquisition or into other dimensions outside time-space, perhaps to interact with other forms of consciousness within the universe. I'll just pause there and let you take that in. Consequently, it is accurate to observe that when a person experiences the out-of-body state, he is in fact projecting that eternal spark of consciousness and memory, which constitutes the ultimate source of his identity, to let it play in and learn from dimensions both inside and outside the time-space world in which his physical component currently enjoys a short period of reality. This is a powerful statement that speaks to our real nature, which is immortal. We are immortal beings. We are not our bodies. Tom Campbell calls this individuated units of consciousness. So we're part of a whole, the microcosm to the macrocosm, as it were. Our bodies and minds are nothing more than vehicles that we're using to briefly experience this reality frequency. And I believe that once we're done, our consciousness just moves on to the next thing, or to the next body to incarnate into. This paper seems to be asserting that this is known, that we are immortal, that our bodies are nothing more than husks that we're using to experience this particular dimension of reality. In other words, the technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time-space as it applies to us if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. However, the more complicated the objective sought and the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram will need to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires. Here we're talking about manifesting and literally warping the fabric of reality to create circumstances that we desire. Looks like they've been on to The Secret before The Secret actually became a thing. Fundamentally, in terms of practical application, it is a healing technique which is designed to restore the body and to enhance its physical capabilities by balancing, revitalizing, and retuning bodily energy flows. It is predicated on the principle that the body's electromagnetic field is capable of altering its resonance pattern so as to entrain energy from the Earth's electrostatic field for its own use. The various colors envisaged in the imagination as part of the technique cue the mind as to which frequencies and what specific amplitudes are desired in connection with this entrainment and the subsequent alterations in bodily energy flow patterns. This is really powerful stuff and shows that there really is a valid argument behind color therapy. In the end, it's all frequency. We exist in an ocean of frequency, and if we can harness specific frequencies and direct them with will and intention, physiological changes will follow, as pointed out here. In any case, the energy bar tool technique involves envisaging a small, intensely pulsating dot of light, which the participant charges in his imagination with enormous energy until it is virtually pulsating. The participant then extrudes the dot into the shape of a sparkling, vibrating cylinder of energy, which he then uses to channel force from the universe to selected parts of his body for purposes of healing and revitalization. Living body map. This technique provides amplification for application of the energy bar tool as a means of healing specific areas or systems of the human body. The configuration of the participant's body is imagined, and then the various major systems such as the nervous and circulatory systems are envisaged in the appropriate colors within the confines of the outline being held in the imagination. The energy bar tool is then applied to energizing, balancing, and healing in whatever manner the participant desires. In the process, the participant visualizes various streams of colored energy flowing out of the tool into the organ system or area upon which the revitalizing or healing application is being made. Since colors are the result of differing wavelengths of light, which is to say, energy at various frequencies, this technique operates on the assumption that as the human body is composed of energy, it can be vitalized and healed through the additive application of additional energy, provided that the energy is applied in the appropriate form. Here's a quick bit on ESP and remote viewing. I'll be doing videos in the future on remote viewing programs, but for now I'll leave you with this statement. Numerous experiments have been conducted involving persons moving from one coast to the other in the out-of-body state to read a series of 10 computer-generated numbers in a university laboratory. Although most have acquired enough of the digits to make it clear that their consciousness was present, none have ever succeeded in getting all 10 correct. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. If you did, please feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, leave a comment or any questions that you would have in the comment box. Again, I've posted a link to the document in the description below so you can download it and read it for yourselves. There will be many more videos like this coming out in the near future, where we will read through declassified documents on various fringe topics. This series will be ongoing, so we'll see you in the next video.